Get ready. 68 books, 7 rounds, 4 brackets, 1 champion, and 1 out-of-shape referee. It's Book March Madness. Submit your own titles, vote for your favorites, watch the fierce competition, and predict your champion to enter to win a prize. Who will be left standing when the final buzzer sounds? Only you can decide. Let's do this!
Hello everyone and welcome back to Book March Madness. It is time to reveal the results of the Elite 8 competition. And I wanted to make this particular results video a little special because we haven't really had a lot of time to talk about why people choose the books that they do, mostly because we had so many books to get through in terms of pairings and rankings. So I wanted to make sure that I took some time in this particular video to highlight some of the reasons as to why you guys voted for the books the way you did, because obviously these 8 books are the top 2 voted for in each bracket, and so therefore they deserve to be celebrated and to highlight some of the reasons, like I said, why you guys chose them. So we will talk about that first, then I'll tell you which book won, and then at the end of the competition, I really do want to talk about some of your thoughts on the competition so far, and then we will wrap it up with some more information about the final 4. So let's start with the fiction bracket. So we had a lot of people with thoughts about Anne of Green Gables, so I'm going to start with the Christmas Carol. So we had a couple people obviously say that since it's the only one they've read, that's why they voted for it. That's pretty much the case for every book, so we'll skip most of those opinions. Someone said they just really liked a great Christmas classic book. A lot of people just really liked that there's really not a whole lot of Christmas literature out there, and so they wanted to celebrate the holiday, which I agree with, and we also have like a gazillion different versions of the movie to watch. So, and like I said, we had a lot of thoughts about Anne of Green Gables. So we had a lot of people who thought that A Christmas Carol was too dark, and that Anne of Green Gables was much more lighthearted. A lot of people thought that Anne of Green Gables was a little more accessible to a wider audience than A Christmas Carol was. A lot of people identified with Anne as a character and the beautiful setting that Anne of Green Gables is written in. A lot of people praised the fact that both books really are sort of redemption stories, but with Anne of Green Gables it was a little more wholesome, and that in fact that she overcame so much in her life to become the incredible woman that she is in the later books. If you've never read them, they're really good. And while, A Christmas Carol has one morality lesson, Anne of Green Gables is very episodic, and so you grow with Anne and you learn the lessons with Anne, and there's a wider range of characters that you come to identify with. And, I think it's just because Anne of Green Gables, Anne herself, is a character that people really strongly identified with. And I think that's, indicative of a long-time classic. So yeah, even though Christmas Carol is in itself a cutting-edge book because of its own history, I think the character of Anne is something that sticks with people more. And so I don't think it's any surprise that Anne of Green Gables won by a pretty wide margin, and unfortunately A Christmas Carol is no longer in the competition. Moving on to historical fiction, let's talk about The Vanishing Half first. So there was a lot of excitement about the fact that there are 2 people of color, or 2 authors of color, who are in this category, particularly in the historical fiction category, which I think sometimes tends to be a little white dominated in terms of type of content and author. So yes, I agree. I'm so glad that the final 2 in this bracket are both people of color, and excellent stories. They are both so good, but a lot of people just liked The Vanishing Half more. It kind of had that edge, in their opinion, over the Kite Runner. A lot of people talked about the pacing of The Vanishing Half, how it just kept you hooked on the edge of your seat the whole way through. They couldn't put it down. I love books like that. It makes you feel almost a little manic when you're reading it, and it hurts a little when you have to close the book. And then of course, there's always those people, God bless them, who vote for women and they support women authors. I love it. I love to see the female representation. And yeah, so there's a variety of people who are voting for this because it is a diversity and feminist title. And I love it. I love that. So, and while I was a little surprised because we didn't have a whole lot of people who talked much about the Kite Runner and how it was written in the story itself, it did still win. And so I'm very curious to know the reasons as to why people vote for the Kite Runner. If you have read the Kite Runner, I would love to know why you liked it, because it did win by more than half the votes of The Vanishing Half. So unfortunately, even though many people were very vocal about the success of The Vanishing Half, the Kite Runner still won. Okay, moving on to the encore bracket, we're going to talk about the Firekeeper's Daughter, because it is the rookie. And it's the only rookie left. Oh, there were so many people, again, who were very excited about the diversity in the YA genre. They love to see that. There were a lot of people who were really excited that it was another female author that made it all the way to the Elite Eight. There were a lot of people who had been pulling hard for this book, thinking that it was going to make it to the end, and I love to see it. I love such staunch supporting of favorite books. One of my favorite reasons that I got out of the reasons why they liked The Firekeeper's Daughter was that Black Beauty was required reading in school, and so that's why they didn't vote for it. And girl, I know the pain of having to suffer books that you didn't want to read. Or books that people are expecting you to read and you don't like them. I fully get that pain. And then for the Black Beauty, I mean, I expected it, but all the horse girls showed up for Black Beauty. And there were some people who were very emphatic about the fact that, you know, Black Beauty is one of the last sort of remaining classics left in the competition, and that it is such an iconic story. And again, it's been made into movies, it's been shown on a TV show. You know, it's just one of those books that I think kind of sticks with you as you grow up, kind of like Anne of Green Gables, where if you're into animals, it's one of the stories to read. So this particular pairing, I forgot to mention at the beginning, we didn't have any overtimes for any of these, which was a little sad because I wanted to see some tension perhaps, but this one was probably the closest out of all the brackets, and 2 votes separated the two of them. And unfortunately, the Firekeeper's Daughter is no longer in the competition. I had been hoping also, along with the rest of you, that it would make it until the end, because so many people love this book. I am so excited to read it. Like I said, we can't keep it in the library where I work. I had to put a hold on it because I was so worried someone was going to get it before me. So anyway, as much as we love it, or think we will love it, it is no longer in the competition, and Black Beauty continues. And that also means that there are no longer any rookies in the competition. And the final bracket, the book was better bracket, The Wizard of Oz versus Life of Pi. Let's talk about Life of Pi first. Interestingly, we had a few people who voted for Life of Pi simply because of the fact that the flying monkeys creeped them out. And I would agree with you. They scared me as a kid. I didn't like them. And actually, there were a lot of people who voted for Life of Pi because they didn't like the Wizard of Oz movie adaptation. They thought that Life of Pi genuinely was the better adaptation, and stayed as close to the story as possible. And I wonder how much of that is simply because of the modern advancements in movie making, and it was able to, by today's standards, look better than The Wizard of Oz versus how close it was to the story. And then The Wizard of Oz, they liked that it became a musical adaptation film. There were a few people who appreciated that there was music added as a way to sort of add another dimension to the world building. There were a lot of people who thought that the 2 books were pretty level pegging, but sort of in opposition to what I just said about the Life of Pi. The Wizard of Oz was such a groundbreaking movie. I think it was the first movie to be in color, if I'm remembering correctly. And, you know, of course, Judy Garland is an icon, one of the tragic Hollywood stories, and she made that movie what it is. And, you know, there's so much more material based on Wizard of Oz. You know, Gregory Maguire with all of his backstories. We have Wicked, we have The Wiz, you know, it's just one of those iconic stories. And I think there's more in this series. I think there's a few more. You know, it's such a big universe and so many people have retold the story. And so having a sort of original movie as sort of the jumping off point to that wider universe is really cool. And my college roommate, because we both went to college in Iowa, she lives in Colorado, she said, we stand Midwest reliability, and I agree. Even though Kansas is the mortal enemy of most Iowa schools, and Iowa State just lost in actual March Madness, we agree. Midwest deserves some representation too, so I'm glad that it's been represented in this competition, and will continue to be, because in the widest margin of the Elite Eight, by almost 2 times the votes, that Life of Pi got, the Wizard of Oz did win. And so the Jan Martel title is out of the competition. And there we have it. Those are the 4 remaining books for Book March Madness. I'm gonna quick redo the board, and then we will talk about thoughts about the competition so far and some more details about the Final 4. Okay, here we go. We have the pair up for the Final 4 competition. We have Anne of Green Gables going up against the Kite Runner. So we have fiction versus historical fiction. And we have Black Beauty versus the Wizard of Oz, so the encore bracket going up against the Book Was Better bracket. This, I think, is always, for me, the hardest part, because so far it's just been pairings within a genre or a bracket. Now it's brackets versus other brackets, and this particular part of the competition is always the most heartbreaking, because I mean, I've said that the Elite Eight all belonged exactly where they were in this competition, but these are the top 4 of the competition, and so someone's gonna go. I do want to highlight that the book that got the most votes, obviously they all got the top votes out of their own bracket, but the book that got the most votes overall was The Wizard of Oz, so I think that might be the one to watch. I can't pick a favorite. Or a pairing that I'm keeping my eye on, because I'm watching all of them. Let's talk about some of the thoughts about the competition. So, there were quite a few people who actually requested having the book list in advance for the competition, so that they could potentially read a little more than what they did. So if that's something that you're interested in or you think would be a good addition to Book March Madness, then let me know, and I can certainly, if we do this again next year, prepare that well ahead of time, and you guys can see the full list of all 64 titles that will be in the competition. And then that actually would save me some time, because then I wouldn't have to do all the book introduction videos. That would be nice. But if that's something you think you would be interested in, then comment down below or shoot me a message on Instagram. I would love to know. So there were also a lot of people who really liked the fact that this sort of made them realize that they need to read more, or broaden their horizons, or widen their taste in genre, which just makes me happy, because that's really all I wanted, you know, this competition to do, is to understand and help people realize how much diversity there is in the book world, even within genre. But also it's part of the reason why I started my booktube channel in the first place, was to make sure that my taste in what I like to read is broad, and that I dabble in pretty much everything, hence my new TBR videos, where I have so many jars full of so many genres and so many titles. So I'm really glad that this is perhaps maybe inspiring or motivating you to want to read more. That just makes me so happy. And inevitably, there was the variety of outrage about books leaving the competition. People sitting on the edge of their seats, nail-biting tension about who's gonna end up in the final championship. And my favorite thing was, particularly in the Book Was Better genre, how many people were talking about how The Silence of the Lambs should still be in the competition. It definitely was a favorite for a lot of people, and that far and wide was the movie that they wish would have stayed over Life of Pi, going up against Wizard of Oz. So I am very sorry that the Thomas Harris title did not make it in. It's a book that I have never read, nor have I seen the movie, so if that many people like it, perhaps I should pick a day where it's bright outside and not in the dark, because I get scared really easily. But I do genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, want to say a big thank you to all of the people who were incredibly vocal about how much they loved the competition and how much fun they had. that's, like I said, that's really all I wanted to do with this competition. Part of it was curiosity for my own sake, but I genuinely just wanted to have fun with books, and my subscriber count has grown a lot and over the past couple months, and it's been really wonderful to see all of the new people who are participating and who are very excited and very vocal about that they like it, which just warms my heart, fills me with warm and fuzzy feelings. So again, thank you to those of you who are new and have not done this before and were so ready to jump on board and have fun. So thank you. Now is the time to vote in the final four to decide which two books will be going up against each other in the championship. Oh my goodness. Just like every other video, you have 36 hours to vote. And on Tuesday the 29th, this championship video where we reveal the two books that will be in the championship. God bless the postal system. The Fictional Boutique prizes from Naya came all safely in the mail, so I will get to show you what the winner of Book March Madness will get if they are chosen from the drawing of those who correctly predicted the winner. So yay, I'm so excited. They're really good. Again, a huge thank you from me for all of you who have participated so far, and I'm so sorry if some of your favorites are no longer in the competition. My heart mourns with you. But for these four that remain, vote hard for your favorite. I am on pins and needles, and I have to wait a whole 3 days before I get to put this together, but I'm the one who gets to watch all the votes come in, so that'll be nice. Have fun voting, good luck for your favorites, and I will see you on the 29th with the championship video.